Welcome back to the studio, everyone. It's your host with the most bleak rides. Not real happy about being in the studio, but here we are. A little cold for riding. It's not too cold to ride, and maybe I'll still yet film something. Or maybe the cat will join me for a cameo. Got a top 5 for us today, this month. The month of November, 2023. A top 5 murder and motorcycles. First on our list, a motorcycle. The Kawasaki Vulcan 900. I know what you're thinking. Bleak, you're biased. You own one of them bikes. Exactly. I do own one of them bikes. And I think it's an excellent cruiser for a person with a mind for a budget. About $9,000 gets it done. Let's go over some of the specs. We'll look at some pictures here or there on the screen. We'll get into it and move on to a murder. Whether we're talking about the Vulcan Classic, the Vulcan LT as pictured above, light touring, or the Vulcan Custom, they all pretty much follow the same specs. The Vulcan Custom has a 21-inch front wheel. All the Vulcans are incredibly modestly priced, with a wonderful power-to-weight ratio. It's really a bike for every man, at a price just about anyone can afford. The bike boasts 58.2 foot-pounds at 35,000 RPM, 50 horsepower. The fuel system's a DFI 34mm throttle body, and the final drive is run by a Kevlar reinforced belt. When pushing 70 to 75 miles an hour, this bike will get about 45 miles to the gallon. Now, this next part's open to debate. According to web specs, the bike will go 115 miles an hour. I own the one in the picture above, and I'm here to tell you, it does not go 115 miles an hour. If you're looking for an entry to intermediate level cruiser, the Vulcan could be a wonderful bike for you. The bike comes in brand new at about $9,000. I bought a used one, a couple years old, for about $3,500. And the nods to modern, classic, and light touring do not go unnoticed. Each bike looks beautiful in its own right. Moving right along to a new series involving murder. Wanted to share with y'all one of my top picks for TV or film in 2023. A recently dropped show called The Fall of the House of Usher. A faithful nod to many of Edgar Allan Poe's stories. You know Poe? And quite the wonderful series. I like horror. I think that much is obvious from my channel. But I also am not overly fond of grotesque uses of the jump scare. This show did not do that. This show told a compelling story with a plot. I mean, there was a plot. It's almost one of those A Miracle on 34th Street or the Christmas Story moments where your wig is blown off. At the end of that show, I was happy. I did not feel let down. And if you're looking for something to watch on one of the streaming services, maybe The Fall of the House of Usher is just what you're looking for. It's not over the top. You'll be able to go to bed afterwards, probably with the lights off. And you won't be let down by what it has to offer in the form of experience. Please, go over to Netflix, check out Fall of the House of Usher. An incredible show with an incredible cast. I think it's about 8 episodes, each about an hour long. So, won't take you too long to chew through, but worth every bite. Next, I want to talk about another motorcycle. A real showstopper in 2023. Really, the only other bike I'd enjoy having, I think, besides what I bought, the Vulcan 900. There isn't a Vulcan 1250, so I bought the Vulcan 900. The Harley Davidson Low Rider St. Everyone's talking about it. It's an absolutely gorgeous bike. It's funny because that FXR style stuff was not popular when it released, and then it became popular afterwards, sort of the way cult classics begin. And this bike, in my opinion, is the showstopper. It's 1250cc V-twin, big, beautiful bike. The cases on it are gorgeous. I know about 6 people with this bike, and they love it. They love it. They take it everywhere and ride the hell out of them, and there you go. Does come in with a different price tag. $22,000 gets it done. You can expect an average payment of around $323 a month. I'm guessing that's full financing.
A few moments later.
Actually, about a day later, I'm picking this back up. To summarize about the Lowrider ST, like I said, I know quite a few people who have them. Nothing at random. Skittles McDiddles. David from Forgotten Angels. My dear friend Shannon. They love their Lowrider STs. The only complaint I've heard about this bike or its platform is that one of the hard cases is slightly askew due to making room for the exhaust pipe. Now, if that bothers you, you have to be behind the bike to see it. Shannon showed me her copious amounts of room inside those hard cases. Didn't seem to be strained any by the slight askewness. The only way you'll notice this is if you're behind them while riding. And for that matter, they might as well have a number 2 on their back, because that's the position you're in on that ride. At least you get a pretty view of the backside of a Lowrider ST. A truly gorgeous bike, whether you get it in the white, the gunship gray, the black. I think Harley hit a home run with this one. I'm not a big Harley guy, most people know that. I love Kawasaki's. But man, that's one worth drooling over a little bit. Moving on, we'll do another little bit of horror, shall we? This next recommendation is more of a recommendation of YouTube. Whether you have the premium or the unpaid version, YouTube is an incredible repository for film. There are old biker movies, there are old horror movies, and I don't just mean old, but somewhat relevant, a little dated at times, but you can also rent from their very expansive library. Recently I found a channel called Creature Feature. And this channel has a huge library of horror films. Vintage, 1960s, 1970s, some good, some bad, some so cringe, dead ass. They'll have you laughing. They'll have you rolling. If you haven't explored YouTube, if you think it's just people putting makeup on, maybe people talking about motorcycles, maybe people telling true crime stories or strange, dark, and unusual, like the amazing storyteller, Mr. Ballin, you're missing out. I don't really pay for TV. I get Netflix free through my cell phone plan. I pay for YouTube. If you guys don't know this about your old buddy Bleak, kind of cheap. I admit it. I'm old. Who am I trying to impress? I like a good deal. And YouTube is an incredible deal for the money. The amount of content you have... I haven't watched regular TV in years. The amount of content you have access to is staggering. I'll try to put up a couple of the movies that I've recently started watching. I get about halfway through them. I have to run. I have something to do. I'm pretty busy often enough. You got something you want to say? No? And give them a chance. Go check out Creature Feature. You will be amazed the amount of movies this person has on their channel. Like I said, good ones, bad ones, and in between. For our last little bit, number 5. You guys know this channel is rather macabre, rather dark. We do strange, dark, and unusual here. Murder and motorcycles. And I have a November murder of note. the murder of Joel and Lisa Guy. So let's get into it. On November 26, 2016, 61-year-old Joel Guy Sr. and 55-year-old Lisa Guy were murdered and dismembered by their son, 28-year-old Joel Michael Guy, in Knoxville, Tennessee. Guy Jr. stabbed his father at least 42 times and his mother at least 31 times. He was convicted of both murders in October of 2020 and received a sentence of life imprisonment. Guy Jr.'s parents were soon to retire and would stop providing money to their son. He was receiving a $500,000 life insurance policy when they were both found dead or missing. The murder involved an elaborate plot to stab both parents, dismember and dissolve their remains, and clean and burn down some of the house, as well as frame the father for the crime. Guy Jr. was injured during the stabbing and left the partially dissolved remains in the house. When he left to dress his wounds before he returned, police discovered the bloody scene upon performing a welfare check. They also discovered a backpack containing a notebook detailing the plan. They found plastic bins containing the torsos of both parents, dismembered limbs dissolving in an acid-based solution of corrosive chemicals, described by prosecutors as a diabolical stew of human remains. A father had severed hands on the floor and the mother's head in a pot on the stove. A grisly murder, so dark, so terrible, that it stains November. And so I take a moment to remember the guys. I'm glad your son's in prison. That's awful. Wish this could have been avoided. Always try to show all respect to the family. But not forget, the murderers walk among us. Makes for good film, makes for good movies, makes for good content. But also makes me remember to watch out when I'm out there interacting with all the other people. Try to keep to myself. Try to enjoy my little slice of the world. And just make it through it. And that's all I got. This has been a top 5 for November. Kind of a different format, different style than I normally do, but always changing on this channel. Trying to keep up with everything going on. If you haven't and you enjoyed it, please take a moment to like my video. It doesn't take you but a second, but it means the world to me. If you enjoy the type of content I do on this channel, or if you just enjoy Noe, please consider subscribing. You gonna help edit now, or just back to the lap? And remember, be safe out there, won't you?